Hi, I'm Vera and welcome to our video. I'm glad you joined us for our next bike trip.
And I'm Floridi Spaghetti. And we're here in Yecla in eastern Spain, although judging by the way we look, you wouldn't believe it. It is rather cold and rainy today, and I hope we don't get too wet. We're going to be heading east towards the coast of the Mediterranean Sea in the hope that we get a little bit of sunshine.
So, let's do this! Today's ride was part of a bigger trip we were doing around the southeast of Spain, starting along the Mediterranean coast and then zigzagging through the Sierras, slowly heading north. Up until this day, we'd had lovely weather with moderate temperatures. And if you haven't seen those videos yet, go check them out.
But back to today's ride. We're not huge fans of cycling in the rain. Some might say we're being soft, but all you need is a waterproof jacket and off you go. Or they'll claim that once you warm up, you hardly notice it. Or that rain can even be enjoyable. And honestly, we agree with all of that.
But there's more to it, especially when you're touring. It's not just about getting wet. It's also tough on your bike. Everything gets dirty. Bearings get clogged, brake pads were down, and derailleurs start misbehaving. It's not a big deal, but it does mean more maintenance.
Taking breaks isn't much fun either. You're forced to find shelter if you want to enjoy your lunch, and we love a proper picnic. And then there's the scenery. You end up missing out, especially in hilly or mountainous regions. Which is a real shame, because who knows if you'll ever pass by again.
Sightseeing in the rain isn't exactly great either, especially if you wear glasses. And cycling with glasses in the rain, you really start to wonder why no one's invented windscreen wipers for them.
We don't mind the occasional rainy day, but we've done our share of trips with endless days of rain, and we're kind of past that. I guess at our age, you become more of a lover than a fighter. So now we plan our tours based on the weather. If the forecast looks grim, we hop on a train and head somewhere else.
And that was the plan for today. We are going to cycle to the train station in Moixent, take the train to Valencia and continue north along the coast, where the outlook was better.
But as so often happens, things didn't quite go to plan. We ended up in the nearby village of Vallada instead. So once again, this would be a story with a twist. And this was our route.
We headed straight east out of Yecla, cutting across towards our intended destination in Moixent, down in the Canyoles Valley. From there, we followed the river to our final stop. We'd seen that much of the way ran along main roads, and we were a bit nervous about the traffic.
But at the start, it wasn't an issue at all. We picked up the Vía Verde del Chicharra, one of Spain's many old railway lines turned into bike-friendly greenways. And as the rain eased off, it turned out we were in a pretty cool ride that we might have otherwise missed.
This path follows the route once taken by steam engines. They made a distinctive sound,
Chicharra, 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 chicharra,
which is also the Spanish word for cicadas. That's how the railway got its nickname, the Cicadas line.
This particular stretch once connected Yecla with Villena and was part of a longer route to Murcia and Ceuta. It was closed in 1969, along with many other narrow-gauge lines across Spain. If it had still been running today, we could have taken the train to Moixent and skipped the soggy ride. But we probably would have outpaced it anyway. It mustered just 15 kilometers an hour.
We have to admit, it wasn't the most spectacular of cycling routes. A flat, straight track through farmland. But the surface was smoother than it looked. The resting spots were charming, and with a strong tailwind, we glided along effortlessly, closely observed by dozens of rabbits that successfully made it into the burrow before we could catch them on camera.
Sadly, the Greenway ended abruptly at the border between Murcia and Valencia. From there, it turned into a rough track, and before long, we were back on the main road.
The next stretch was even more monotonous. Just a straight ribbon of asphalt cutting through farmland. Looking around at this flat, open landscape, you'd never guess we were coasting along at 500 meters above sea level.
In fact, we were riding on a plateau, pushed up when the Alps were formed, and once the bottom of the sea. It might sound unremarkable, but for us, it was a welcome change. Spain is usually a roller coaster of climbs and descents, but here, with a strong tailwind and smooth terrain, it was actually a joy to ride. Oddly peaceful, too.
The further we cycled, the more surreal it felt. Something was missing. Cars.
Let's put this into perspective. This wasn't the middle of nowhere. We were between two towns of around 35,000 people each, with plenty of towns and villages in the vicinity. You'd expect traffic, delivery vans, commuters, tractors even, but we couldn't count the number of vehicles we saw on one hand.
Where we come from, the last time roads were this empty was during the oil crisis in 1973, long before I was born. It left us wondering, maybe Spaniards just don't drive around for the sake of it, like people do elsewhere.
Sure, there's a nearby motorway that swallows most of the through traffic, but even the secondary roads, some built to a motorway-like standard, felt oversized and abandoned.
Not that we were complaining. With smooth tarmac and no cars, they were an absolute dream to cycle.
We've got hours of footage showing these wide, empty roads, and we could bore you to tears with it. But instead, we'll speed things up a bit now and again, just to give you a taste of the endless open riding we had ahead of us.
small but historic hut was once a guardhouse for a well, as the sign in Valencian revealed. And with it, the scenery changed dramatically. Up until this point, the ride had been smoother than hitting the like and subscribe button, which, by the way, you should totally do if you haven't already.
But here the flat plateau came to an end, and our journey dropped into the Canyoles Valley, carving through forests and striking layers of karst. So grab some popcorn, lean back, and join us on this thrilling descent.
Red panels by the roadside show how high the water of this stream run dry can rise here during floods, which is pretty hard to believe, looking at it now. Moixent and crossing the Rio Canyoles was supposed to mark the end of today's ride. We hadn't run out of energy, but by switching to public transport, we'd run out of luck. The usually reliable train service was suspended due to construction, and replacement buses weren't taking bikes, so we were stuck.
That meant quickly making new plans and finding somewhere to crash for the night. Luckily, we managed to book a B&B in the next village of Vallada, adding just a few extra kilometers to the day.
Fortunately, we weren't on a tight schedule, and the ride downstream along the river turned out to be unexpectedly scenic. Even better, the weather forecast had improved, so we decided to stick around a little longer. Instead of heading straight for Valencia, we cycled up into the surrounding hills the next day.
What started as a setback turned into a stroke of luck, and a new leg of our journey. So there's more to look forward to in the next video.
Funny enough, things going a bit wrong happens to us quite often when touring by bike. But we've learned that if you just roll with it, it usually leads to something better than you planned. A bit of wisdom we also try to carry into everyday life.
Ja, los mal. Komm.
That was nicer than I had expected. We cycled 65 kilometers. What was your favorite part? Have you ever cycled this route before? Please share your thoughts and experience in the comments below.
And if you enjoyed this video just as much as we enjoyed this ride, don't forget to hit the like button. And subscribe if you want to see more inspirational videos on cycling routes. And like dogs like this.
Yes.
Isn't he sweet? So we're going to stay here for the night. Not with you in our bed, I hope. And we look forward to see you in the next video.
So thanks for watching and
Until then,
bye
happy
bye.
cycling. Bye-bye.